All right, welcome everybody. We are live and in person. I am joined by my co-host Zachary Brandevold, who unfortunately he is my only co-host tonight. Aaron is suffered a power outage and hasn't been able to make it tonight, so we're hoping his power gets back on soon. But we will just have to wing it without him a little bit. But Zach, how are you doing this evening?
Doing well. I had a little bit of a power outage myself, but luckily it turned back on very shortly. So I'm glad I'm able to be able to join you tonight. It's that kind of year, I guess, with all the storms, hurricanes, that kind of season. I'm very familiar with it from my time down in Florida, so it is around that time.
Yep, we have our share of thunderstorms and power outages up here in West Virginia. My sister actually lost power over the weekend, but luckily it was off for, I think, probably only about 8 or 10 hours, so not too bad. Um, but we are down a co host, but we're going to hold it together as best we can. Right now, we don't have a truck race to review, but we do have an Xfinity race, and we have a lot of excitement. I have a couple of clips I want to share in the Xfinity race, but let's get into the Xfinity race. And it was Road America. It was a road course. You got Ty Dillon, who has been great on road courses this year. AJ Allmendinger had to start from the back, wasn't a big factor for most of the race, to my surprise. And you had a couple of the Cup guys showing up here, one of them being the defending Cup Series champion in Kyle Larson. You also had Cole Custer showing up, making a surprisingly strong run. But to get into the race here, let me sum it up this way. I'm going to do my best Ric Flair here, okay? Ric Flair used to do this back in the 80s. To be the man, you got to beat the man. And that is exactly what Ty Gibbs did. He absolutely beat Kyle Larson, who is an exceptional road course racer, and not just an exceptional road course racer, but the defending Cup Series champion. So he absolutely took on the best in the business and beat him. But let's talk a little bit about what happened. Stage one, Kyle Larson won, ended under caution. A lot of times you get things jumbled up with at the end of the stage because people pit to get track position before the end of the stage, because if you pit on a road course, you can pit without going a lap down. But with it ending under caution, that all got thrown out. Kyle Larson wins stage two. Then we get to stage three, and that's when we get into just a little bit of calamity here. Now, this is one, I'm going to show a clip here. This is one lap after the restart, and this is Noah Gragson getting into it with Sage Karam, and this was by far the biggest incident of the day. But check this out. I'm just going to let the tape roll because I got some commentary on it. But here we go. This is the big incident in just at one lap into stage three. This is one lap after they took the green. So here we go. Okay, so this is Noah Gragson and Sage Karam over the weekend. That red arrow is Noah Gragson there on the inside of Sage Karam. Coming into turn one, that is Sage Karam in the blue car, number 45 on the outside. Here we go. Coming into turn one. Oh, we have contact. Sage Karam going to run right down onto him, mess up Noah Gragson. Big beneficiary is Ty Gibbs here in the 54. Says, thank you for that eye opening. I will be happy to drive right through it. But we are not done yet. Sage Karam now says, you know what? I don't think this track is big enough for both of us. I want all of it. So here we come into the next straightaway. And he is just going to run Noah Gragson literally off the track. Says, this track is not big enough for both of us. Noah Gragson says, hold my beer, bang, hooks him, or not hooks him, turns right, makes a right-hand turn on a straightaway, and it is on after that. And after that, look at the smoke and dust and everything. How would you like to be a driver going into that? So that is the big stage three incident from the weekend. Okay, so that turned into looking like a Daytona or Talladega big one. Okay, there was dust and debris everywhere. Drivers couldn't see. People got collected all over the place. And, I agree that Sage Karam was running him off the track and bumping him. I don't think that Noah Gragson made a great decision as far as the timing of the payback, both of when it was during the race and where they were around him. But it happened, and we're going to talk more about that later. One of the victims in that was Brandon Brown On the lighter side of racing, I want to show this video. This is Brandon Brown, and I am pointing out a member of the AMR safety crew. I think it's AMR that is there to assist him. But again, I can laugh at this because Brandon was okay, but let's watch this little Brandon Brown clip here. And I got some things in particular I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so here you are. You are Brandon Brown. You've just been in a big accident. You are gingerly climbing out of your car. You are hurt. Look, here you are. You are laying on the ground. You've got Sam Mayer, a fellow driver, tending to you. You've got the AMR safety crew coming, and here is your savior. This is your AMR safety crew. She is coming to rescue you. And she's coming. And she's coming. And she's still coming. Okay, now she's getting past. And here we go. She's kind of giving up running. Now she's just going to walk. Now, here, this guy comes along. I think that might be an oxygen tank. I am not sure if that is for Brandon Brown or if that is for this lady here. But I am guessing that if you want to be on the AMR safety crew, it is just a case of 40-yard dash times are not counted. And you see here at the end, yeah, here she's just like, you know what, I'll give up. It's too far to walk. Somebody else is going to have to save this guy. So anyway, I say all that because I can joke about it because Brandon Brown was okay. It was not a serious injury. Here is what he had to say after after he got released from the care center about everything.
Just a real gut check. Lost my breath and little kick to the area that you don't want to injure, and just a bummer that it ended our day early, and I just hate that.
A little kick to the area you don't want to injure. So I am going to say, after looking at that, NASCAR might want to take a page out of the IndyCar and NHRA playbook and contract with one highly qualified safety crew and have them go to all tracks and all events. Because I'm telling you, if Brandon Brown was seriously injured and he was waiting on that lady to get there, he was in deep trouble. But back to the racing. Larson has got this thing wrapped up coming to the end. He has got a 3-second lead. The laps are winding down. He's taken the 2 to go. He is not too far from getting the white flag when Cole Custer has a brake failure, big wreck going into one of the hardest braking zones there, setting up the green-white checkered. And that was the saving grace for Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs did make a little contact with Gibbs, or Ty Gibbs made a little contact with Larson, but that was on a straightaway. He backed off, didn't wreck him, didn't turn him, and then Kyle Larson just flat missed the next turn. Had nothing to do with contact. Even in the post-race interviews, Larson did not blame anything on Ty Gibbs. He said he just missed the turn. Ty Gibbs seized the opportunity, grabbed it, beat the best in the business, and grabbed the win at the Xfinity Series. So congratulations to Ty Gibbs. And one of the things that was the big talk afterwards is he made a clean pass on him, which has not always been Ty Gibbs' style. So congrats to Ty Gibbs on the win. Glad that Brandon Brown and everyone else that was in that incident was okay, because that was kind of scary. Everybody was driving in there blind. So anyway, that is the end of it. Zach, anything to add to the Xfinity race?
No, I watched it. I thought it was very interesting race. Obviously I think we're going to talk about that Noah Gragson issue later. So I won't get into too much of it to detail right now, but yeah, some interesting moves and obviously that pass for the win by Ty Gibbs, I think kind of really hallmarked a very interesting day for the Xfinity Series.
Okay, so keep us rolling here. Aaron was supposed to do the Cup race, but with him being out due to a power outage, and Aaron, I saw you commenting here. If you've got any estimates on when the power's back on, let us know. I hope it gets back on soon. But Zach has agreed to step up and take care of the Cup race for us. I was picking up my kids and only saw bits and pieces of the Cup race. So Zach is going to step up and cover the truck race or the Cup race for us here. So Zach, take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So an interesting race, day before 4th of July race. Elliott, always a threat, if not the most likely to win. Him and Briscoe, whenever there's a road course, You always got to circle their names. They're probably at the top of everyone's list. And they start 1-2 for this race. So essentially what we have is a battle between Chase Briscoe and Chase Elliott. Battle of the Chases, with Tyler Reddick and Larson getting in there late. But those four were generally up front early and often throughout the entire race. At least in the first two stages, Chase Elliott was the big beneficiary. He led by over 7 seconds at one point in stage one, and that gap got shrunk a little bit in stage two, but still a good 5-second hefty lead in stage two before we have the battle, as always, on our road courses as to whether or not you're racing for the win or if you're racing for stage points. And that is always the big question. Can you do what Kyle Larson did in Sonoma last year, which is stay out, win all the stages, and win the race? It is very, very, very unlikely you're able to do that unless you have some caution luck by your side. But that is always the question, race win versus stage points. And Chase Elliott, he ended up picking the race win over stage points, as he was looking dominant in stage 1 and 2. So why would he not go for the stage win, or the race win, rather than the stage win? However, Briscoe and I'm blanking on his name, Cindric, excuse me, who is also always a threat at road courses, they end up taking the opposite approach in stage 1, and they both end up staying out. And this will become important later on. But anyway, Chase Elliott, he surrenders the chance at an easy stage wins in order to compete for the race win. Use that track position, which is ever so important on Road America, as it is very, very tight and very hard to pass. But the other storyline is, in the end, Tyler Redemption Reddick, as Aaron pointed out here, finally being able to take the checkered flag in the P1 position for the first time in his career, and the first time on a road course. So awesome for him. He gets it done after so many questions this season as to whether or not he would be able to win. Would he be able to keep up? Currently somewhat out. Currently, if I remember, out of the playoffs, and has had a very, very struggling season, up and down. He's either good or he is very bad. But he ends up taking the win this season, or this race at Road America, which is awesome for that team. Not only that team, but also himself. Other notable events: Bubba Wallace continues to struggle in the Toyota, as well as Toyota teams on road courses. I think the highest finisher was Martin Truex Jr. in 13th. Keep in mind, we also have to look at Bubba Wallace ended up getting taken out by Joey Logano. That is also another big storyline. And Bubba pays him back into a different turn. Ruins both their days, honestly. Bubba ended up having to DNF. But also a solid day by Michael McDowell. So he ends up finishing inside the top 10, increases his streaks. We've seen him finish inside the top 10 at, I believe, all the road courses this season. I'm just wondering when he's going to break that win column for the road courses here. We know he's been dominant in other series, and NASCAR hasn't broken in a win yet in the Cup Series, so we'll have to follow that storyline. But that is the Cup Series. Did I miss anything to you, Tom?
Not that I know of, but again, I was picking up my kids at times. I saw bits and pieces of it, but it's like I look up at one point and Chase Elliott just looks like he's dominating, and then I look back a little bit later and here is Tyler Reddick with the lead and pulling away at the end of it. And I caught a little bit here and there in between, but Tyler Reddick, it seemed like early in the season, he had a lot of speed and maybe had a couple of wins where the racing gods just didn't favor him and he just had bad luck. And then it's like he's gone away for the last month or two, and he really hasn't been up front contending, I think, probably since the Bristol dirt race. And then all of a sudden here he pops up with all this speed. And speaking of popping up, This is my dog, Sonny, who is just barely starting to stick his nose into the picture. But I was so thrilled to see Reddick win, our 5th first-time winner, tying a record that was set in 1950, I think, which was NASCAR's 2nd season. So you were bound to have a lot of first-time winners because it was only the 2nd season of NASCAR.
Right.
But tying that record, which was huge, but thrilled to see Reddick win. I've been saying he was going to be a first-time winner. I thought it would come earlier in the season, but thrilled to see Reddick win, and glad to see that RCR gets into the playoffs and gets a win under their belt.
Absolutely. You probably can hear that thunder in the background there. There was a big flash. But yeah, no, I completely agree. Great for RCR, great for Reddick. And I agree with you on the speed context as well. He definitely struggled, especially mid-season. So nice to see them finally. Hopefully this will be their coming out party for the rest of the season. So, But yeah, that is the Cup race.
All right, great job filling in for Aaron. Now back to your primary duties, which was the SRX race. So we're going to stay with you. Go through the SRX race for us.
So if you didn't watch the SRX race, unlike previous weeks, I don't know if you really missed that much. If you watched the week before, last week, you may have saw it might have been highlighted by Stewart grabbing onto somebody's neck and yelling at them for all the damage that they're doing to his cars. After he laid down the wall last week, Stafford was much calmer, both on and off the track. And the only natural caution of the night was when Waltrip needed repairs for his ailing car. Heat 1 ended up in the win column for Hunter Ray as he took the lead from Deegan at the start and never looked back. The only incident of note in that first heat race was Labonte tried to get under Elliott, and he closed the door on him, nearly causing a wreck. Elliott seemed like a wrecking ball all night. Unfortunately, he was either passing somebody with force or getting past, but most of the time it was the latter. With force, people running him up the track. But yeah, he did not fare too well on that end of the night. But Labonte ends up winning Heat 2 after his spin. So a good rebound for him, as he actually finished the day pretty decent overall after that first spin in Heat 1. But Andretti and Stewart battled it out all night with Biffle close behind. Them Andretti and Stewart swapped the lead several times, but Andretti ended up, I think, leading the most laps in the final the main race, excuse me. But Newman comes all the way from, I believe, 8th place, comes back from the back and wins on a late pass on Andretti. I think that caution for Waltrip's ailing car ended up helping Newman be able to get up there and equalize and end up passing Andretti on the closing stages. Andretti looked like the fastest car all night, but he ends up not really winning, coming in second, but that'll still be good for his points total. But Newman, who's been very consistent, and I feel like that was you could definitely say that about his NASCAR career. He's shown the same thing in the SRX series, being very consistent. Already had the points lead coming into this race, ends up getting a win and pulling on the rest of the field for the championship. So interesting SRX race. Not as exciting, I would say, as even last year or any of the races this season. But definitely you'll see the fastest guy nearly won, but the most consistent ended up pulling it out this race.
Well, now I'm going to disagree with you on the excitement part. If you want to talk about drama, last week's race definitely had more drama. But as far as good racing, I thought it was a fantastic race because you had Marco Andretti and Tony Stewart swapping the lead and running side by side for, it seemed like, half of the feature. It seemed like it was one, then it was the other, then they'd be side by side for several laps. I thought it was good racing. And then Stewart faded. I don't know if he used up his tires or the track went away or whatever, but he faded. But I was like, where did Newman come from? Once Stewart faded, I thought this is Andretti's race to lose. And I knew Stewart or Newman was kind of hanging around there in the top 3 or 4, but didn't think that he had what it took to win. And then all of a sudden, boom, there he is, and got around Marco Andretti and grabbed the win. But NASCAR guys now have got 2 wins in a row in the SRX Series. Stewart last week and Newman this week. So good for them. Good for them. But yeah, I love this SRX. I think it's good racing every week. Last week was high drama. This week I thought it was more on the track. I love Tony Stewart's comment to the guys about if you want to keep tearing up the cars, you're going to have to come work on them yourselves.
Mm-hmm.
That pretty much did it. They were done tearing up cars after that.
Yeah, I would say that it wasn't as exciting because, you know, when Castroneves won, it was a late race pass for the win, right? And then you obviously had last week and all of its drama. So I would say this probably, I mean, I'm not saying the racing aspect was boring at all, because we did have that battle between Stewart and Andretti, and I thought that was great. You know, 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, although Stewart does have some open wheel experience, but you have an open wheel guy and essentially a legend stock car guy battling it out for the lead at a short track. But you know, I thought overall though, it felt different than all the other races this season, as far as like being able to the excitement as a late race restart or you know, anything like that. But I saw that Newman was closing in. I think he was in 4th when I ended up really paying attention to him, and he passed Biffle with ease, and he got right up to Andretti and Stewart, and ended up passing both of them. And you know, like you said, he came out of nowhere, but you know, I paid attention to him. I thought, where is the speed coming from? So good on him, and good to be able to get him back in victory lane for sure.
Okay. All right, let's go into the news. Since you've covered the last 2 races, I'm going to cover at least the first news story because I got this thing teed up here.
Sure.
Okay. Chase Briscoe decided he would try to be a jackman. Okay. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear the audio on this, but just seeing the video is going to be great anyway. So let me see if I can do a screen share here. And we're going to see this video of Chase Briscoe trying to be a jackman. And he is going to show us all that it is just not as easy as it looks. I love that when they get outside of their element and they are trying to do something that they have not, you know, that they don't do every day, and proven that it is not as easy as it looked. But I thought that was a cool story. But I will turn the news back over to you, Zach. If you want, I can probably pull up a video for news story 2 if you would like for me to.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Actually, the if you could pull up, there's a specific one that shows the angle that I think really like just encompasses everything. I think I sent it in our chat, but yeah, to speak about the first news story, you know, Chase Briscoe is not an unfit person at all, and for him to, you know, I mean, obviously he has no experience in that, but for him to kind of struggle like that is kind of surprising. To lift the car up, but you know, makes you really think for sure. But we're gonna head across the pond for 4th of July, and we're gonna talk about the F1 race in Great Britain. Zhou, I hear his name all the time, so I'm so sorry if I pronounce this wrong. But Zhou Guanyu is a driver for Alfa Romeo Sauber, somewhat of a backmarker team, not very much, but you know, definitely not one of the title contender cars. He ends up surviving a horrific wreck at the British Grand Prix, flips over and slides in between, the tire barrier and the catch fence, where you basically can only fit somebody be able to walk through. But he ends up walking away from it. Thank God, and no serious injuries to any of the drivers involved. There were 3 other drivers involved as well, but Zhou was the most significant. So
I can pull that up if you want me to real quick here. I think I can, because it was horrific to look at.
Yeah, that would be great. And actually, sorry, it's Guanu Zhou is the driver's name. Sorry, it was backwards in here. So, yeah, he's the grid highly respects him. He's a good driver. He's actually a rookie. But man, was this probably the worst wreck that I've seen in motorsports in quite some time. I can't really even describe something different. Maybe this compares similar to maybe what Carl Edwards had to deal with in the 2009 wreck at Talladega.
Okay, so
or
here we go. If
Austin
I can
Dillon.
get this to play. Well, that's not a very good video because it's
Looks
just
like a
showing a
slideshow.
still shot. Yeah, we got to find better video. Sorry about that.
Did you see the one that I put in the
I
chat
was
here?
having trouble finding it going all the way back through the chat. So actually,
Here,
no,
I
I
got
wasn't
you.
really seeing it.
I will put
Okay,
it
if you can screen share, that would be great.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah. That was a horrific crash, and then when he landed, I was like, "Oh my gosh, is this guy? Are they even going to be able to get to him based on how it landed?" It was just
Right.
horrific.
I'm
we
not
may
able
have
to
to skip this.
I'm
if
not
we
able to
can't find
share
it.
that, but I could send the link into the private channel. I would have to restart my browser. So I just sent it into the chat there.
Okay, so hold on just a second, and we will get this. And I apologize, we are not looking very professional at the moment.
We had everything lined up for the rest of the stuff. It happens sometimes, but I think it's so shocking that I think we have to show that, I think, to really give everyone the gravity of the situation.
Okay, so here we go. Flip over to this. Sliding on his roof, halo protecting him, then lands between like a safer barrier and a catch fence.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
And the halo that you see pretty much saved his life, because the roll bar, so above the driver's head, early on, they used to have a crash. Well, they still do have a crash structure. If you look at it,
right there's a good view of the halo, I guess.
That's the halo. That's a carbon fiber structure that they've made mandatory on all the F-Series cars. But if you look just beyond that, it's supposed to have a hoop that comes down right at the end of it. Hoop that comes down to protect the driver's head, and that's pretty much the only way that drivers were protected as far as their heads go before they introduced the halo, and that system completely failed. You can see it scraping against the asphalt there, and it's just level with the halo, which it's not supposed to be. So if he did not have that, then his head would essentially be scraping the ground. So when it originally came out, there was a lot of flack for the halo and what it entailed and how ugly it looked. But in reality, I think it has saved multiple drivers' lives and a wonderful innovation. But yeah, that is the wreck there. So moving right along, though, Justin Marks, Team Trackhouse owner, is going to be returning to NASCAR racing. He's going to make his Truck Series re-debut for Nice Motorsports in the 41 at Mid-Ohio. He made that. If you have kind of paid attention, Nice and Trackhouse have kind of formed a pseudo alliance with their sponsor, shared sponsor, Worldwide Express Chevrolet or Worldwide Express. Worldwide Express sponsors all the Nice Motorsports drivers, and as also sponsors Trackhouse in the Cup Series. So, that may be something to look at. Like maybe they're becoming their truck feeder series. So that's kind of interesting. Their Trackhouse owner is also going to be jumping down into the truck series. So, what are your thoughts on this, Tom? Anything?
I got to be honest, until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't even know that Justin Marks used to be a race car driver. And then I looked it up and saw it, and then he ran the SRX series with Tony Stewart this weekend, and now he's getting back into it Mid-Ohio. I think it's an interesting choice because I think Mid-Ohio is a pretty tough track. And it'll be interesting to see how he does driving for Nice Motorsports, because Nice Motorsports is kind of they're up here and then they're down here, because you've got Carson Hocevar doing really well and nobody else doing anything at all. So it'll be interesting to see how Justin Marks fits into that, and if we can learn anything about how good or bad the Nice Motorsports equipment is when Justin Marks gets behind the wheel. But I'm excited to see it. But like I said, 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know he used to be a race car driver. So
Yeah.
I'm learning stuff all the time.
Something of note is his last win came at Mid-Ohio in the Xfinity Series, driving for the Chip Ganassi 42. So and that was all the way back when. So interesting to see if anything of that note translates over to the truck series. So awesome to see. I like that. So yeah, and that is the news stories for this week.
Okay, all right. Next up, we've got our continuing series where each one of us is going to present our top 10 drivers from 2000 to present. And as Aaron presented his last week, I've got mine coming up this week. Zach will be on next week. And this is up to us to rank them based on whatever criteria we deem is most appropriate. So it's however we want to deal with this, whatever we think is the best way to rank a driver. But get your popcorn ready, get settled in, get your notepads ready to critique what I've got, what you agree with, disagree with, etc. But here we go. I'm just going to put up the video here. This is top 10 drivers in NASCAR from 2000 to present. So this is my list. Here we go. All right, welcome. Today I am presenting my NASCAR's top 10 drivers since the year 2000. So that is from 2000 up to the present day, which is 2022. Please chime in, give me your comments, let me know what you agree with, disagree with. We are actually going to show this as a segment on my YouTube show, The Loose Lug Nuts, Tuesday at 9 o'clock. So be sure to tune in and see what my co-hosts think, see what the fans of the show think, and another chance to voice your opinion there. But again, this is top 10 drivers in NASCAR from 2000 to present day. So couple things. Let's get this thing rolling and let's kind of talk about how we are doing this and what my criteria is for being on the list here. So first, at least part of the driver's career had to be in the time frame from 2000 to 2022. But even though the whole career may have spanned back into the 90s, we're only going to look at the portion today that was in the 2000s. So for example, Jeff Gordon, great driver in the 90s, still had a lot of good years in the 2000s. When evaluating for this list, it's only going to be what he did from the year 2000 forward. Okay. We're also going to look at how many years they were driving full time during this list. So if you take a Kurt Busch is somebody who basically started in the year 2000, I believe, he's got the full spectrum here, all 22 years. You look at some other people like Jeff Gordon, maybe they're only the tail end of their career was in the 2000s, or a Bobby Labonte or a Mark Martin. Flip side of that is you've got people like Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. They are in it right now, but certainly were not around in the year 2000. And then you got people like Carl Edwards, who kind of fit somewhere there in the middle. They were not around in the 2000s, but got into it and then got out of it by now. We are also only looking at accomplishments in the Cup Series, so nothing that they did in Xfinity or trucks. If they were a car owner in another series, not counted. This is just their accomplishments as a driver in the Cup Series. And we are looking at the entire driving resume, the number of championships, the number of wins. I'm going to call them championship appearances, even though they didn't always have a playoff format. And even the early years, the playoff format didn't have a Final Four. So we're going to call that as a championship contender. So if you finish top 4 in any way, shape, or form, I'm going to say you are a championship contender that year. So we're going to look at how many times they were in contention for the championships. We're also not just looking at the wins. We're looking at the top 5s, the top 10s, the crown jewel events that they won, how many laps they had. It is the whole resume there. So with that being said, let's get into the list, and I'm starting with number 1. And I'm starting with number 1 because number 1 is pretty easy. Actually, the top of the list is pretty easy. It's the bottom that is the really hard part. Number 1, to the surprise of probably no one, Jimmie Johnson, Mr. 7-time. His resume speaks for itself. Surefire first ballot Hall of Famer, 7 championships, 83 wins, 11, I call it championship 4 appearances, even though they weren't always championship 4. They were just they had the playoffs back then, but again, didn't always call it championship 4. Over 19,000 laps led. Everybody who I have looked at as far as a list, Jimmie Johnson has been number 1. Hard to argue with putting anybody else up there in that top slot. Number 2, another popular pick at number 2, and I've seen this guy ranked, I think, no lower than 3rd on any list that I looked at. Tony Stewart, 3 championships, one of them as an owner driver, 46 wins, and I believe he was the first owner driver to win a championship since 1992. And I want to say, when I am quoting all these numbers, those 46 wins for Tony Stewart or 3 championships, any number I'm quoting as a statistic is just from the year 2000 forward. But very impressive resume for Tony Stewart. I got him at number 2. Now, number 3 on the list, I've seen some people flip 2 and 3, but they've always kind of had these top 3 in kind of the same order of Jimmie Johnson, or it's the same 3 players, Jimmie Johnson, Tony Stewart, and Kyle Busch. Some people flip 2 and 3. Look at Kyle Busch, 2 championships, 60 wins, and as I call it again, championship appearances. 6 times he was in the top 4 in points. So very impressive resume for Kyle Busch. I think his win this year made it 18 consecutive seasons with a win. But like him or love him, Rowdy has definitely got the talent and got the resume to be up here on the list. Once you get past number 3, the next couple, I kind of think everybody's going to have on their list, but there's going to be some stuff in that bottom half that is really difficult. And really in that bottom half, you could kind of shake it up in a lot of ways and be hard to argue with the order. But at number 4, I have got the closer, Happy Harvick. Kevin Harvick came in 2001 after the death of Dale Earnhardt, so he has got almost the full 22 years in here. He is the 2014 Series Cup Championships, 58 wins. He is only 2 wins behind Kyle Busch. Finished in the top 4 in points in 10 different seasons. So that is basically half his career he has been in the top 4. And he has competed full-time in every Cup season from 2001 to 2022. This is one of the things, though, that I think adds to Harvick's resume, and you could potentially move him up a little bit. 2001 to 13 was RCR, then 2014 to present was Stewart-Haas Racing, and I really feel like his resume would be even stronger, but I feel like that Richard Childress equipment in the last few years that he was driving there was just not up to par, that they were not an elite team anymore, and that's factored in. So I'm factoring in the resume, but I'm also factoring in what you did with what you had, and I just don't feel that Richard Childress equipment in some of those years was all that strong. I don't think they were at an elite level for every one of those 13 seasons that he drove there, which bolsters him, which makes all of his accomplishments even more impressive. So I've got Kevin Harvick, number 4. Let's go on to number 5. This is a guy who has been left off a lot of lists, and I think it's unjustly so, and I've got him ranked really high. Number 5, Carl Edwards. 28 wins, and you're going to see a lot of people have more wins than he's got. Finished top 4 in points in 5 different seasons. Here is what I really think makes Carl's resume so strong and merits his position on this. He only competed in 12 seasons. So from 2001 to 22, he's basically competing in half the seasons that say a Kurt Busch put in. So he's doing all this in basically half as many races. So I'm giving a lot of consideration to that. You figure he has a career that is longer or competed in more seasons. I think he may be higher than 5, but I'm considering the fact that he was only there for about half of the season. So now let's get into number 6, and this is going to be another active driver. Brad Keselowski, or as we have nicknamed him, Brad Kozarewski, 2012 Series Cup champion, 35 wins. He also has only competed in 12 seasons, and I don't know why we're at 2001. It should say 2000 to 2022, so that's a little typo. He is still currently active with RFK Racing, and again, we're giving consideration to the fact that his accomplishments came in only 12 seasons. But you think about all that he has accomplished, that resume looks pretty impressive for a guy who's been here all 22 seasons, and he's only been here about half of them. So I have given Brad Keselowski number 6. Number 7 on the list, Denny Hamlin, 48 wins, 6 championship 4 appearances. And again, I'm not sure those were all truly championship 4, but at least top 4 in points. 201 top 5 finishes. The crown jewels are Denny's thing. He's a 3-time Daytona 500 winner. I think he's won every crown jewel that we're racing at right now. And he has spent his entire Cup career with Joe Gibbs Racing, which I think is important because some of these other guys have bounced around and have not always been in the strongest equipment every one of their seasons. But I am given number 7, Denny Hamlin. So now let's go on and move on. Let's hit number 8. Number 8, huge fan of this guy. My dad worked for DuPont for many years, so I followed him from the minute he came into sport. Number 8, Jeff Gordon. If this was a list of the 90s, he would probably be number 1, but it's very impressive that he had not just such a long career, but he was so competitive right up to the very end. You know, he was in the championship race his final year, so he really maintained a high level for his whole career. He was the 2001 Series champion. That was the last of his 4 championships. 44 wins, top 4 in points 6 different years, over 200 top 5 finishes, and again, spent his entire career with Hendrick Motorsports, so he did have the good fortune of running in top tier equipment every year that he was there. But number 8 is my man, Wonder Boy, Jeff Gordon. Going back into the active drivers for number 9 on the list, Joey Logano. He's been left off a lot of lists, and I don't understand it. He and Brad Keselowski both. Maybe people were giving more consideration to guys that are not racing anymore, but Joey Logano is the 2018 Cup Series champion, 29 wins. Didn't start racing full-time until 2014. So he is a guy, again, not that many of these 22 seasons was he actually here competitive. And maybe the fact that his resume is a little bit short since he didn't start full-time until 2014 is the reason he's been left off some other ones. 5 championship 4 appearances, 143 top 5s. Again, for a guy who only has a resume that starts in 2014, extremely impressive to me. So I am going number 9, Joey Logano. Now, the last spot on the list, and this is one that is probably some people are going to agree with, some people are going to disagree with, Kurt Busch. So when you look at this, let's go through Kurt Busch's resume. I think he is the only guy on this list that has competed in all 22 Cup seasons, 2004 Series champion, 34 wins, raced full-time every season, has driven for a variety of owners. Okay, so you think about this. Look at that car and that number 51. That was Kurt Busch, Phoenix Racing, okay? He has been with some great teams. He has been with some really weak teams and made them all better. Everywhere he's gone, he's made them better. But when you think about of that time, how much of that 22 seasons, how many of those were spent in subpar equipment, and he still manages to put up this resume and the impact he had on the teams with subpar equipment by making them better. I think he is very well deserving of a spot on this list. besides the wins, besides championship, 161 top 5 finishes, and I have mentioned significant part of his career in subpar equipment. There are a number of guys that I left off this list that you can make a strong case for. Martin Truex Jr., Matt Kenseth. I've heard some people talk about Mark Martin and Bobby Labonte. I honestly think if you look at just what they did from 2000, it's a little bit harder to put them on the list. I've seen Kyle Larson on this list, and again, I think his resume is just a little bit too short. I think he's had over half of his wins in one season last year, so there's not enough of a body of work for me to put Kyle Larson up there yet. But I think he certainly will get there with the resume he's building. But this is what we've got. This is my list. And again, it seems like from about number 4 to about number 10, you can make a case for any one of them in any order. Very tough call. And it's going to get tougher because some of these guys are still building their resume. But that is my list. Let me know what you guys think.
You're muted.
Cut that off there as we go through the list. But that is my top 10 list. Aaron presented his last week. I know, Zach, you're up next week. And I know that was a long video, so I kind of apologize for that. I probably should have done a summary. But any thoughts on the list that you want to share, or do you want to just kind of hold all your thoughts so you can share your own list?
Honestly, I think you probably should have gone last. The amount of detail, and I feel like that's going to be a hard one to top next week because what do I have to gauge? You went through all the stats, so I think it should be the end all be all with you now. But no, I'll try my best to come up with one next week that's hopefully a little bit different. I think I value championships and all that good stuff, but you'll see it next week, so we can move on. But I think it's a very good list. Very good.
That back half, once you get past about 3 or 4, it's really hard to rank them. It really is. So, all right, we got a new viewer, I think. Mid Blossom Films. Thank you for tuning in. Don't think I've seen you comment before. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, man.
I love the road courses too. I think it's great to see them do something a little bit different. So, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Love.
But we are up to who's hot, who's not. And I think this is something I will let you go first on this one, Zach. Who you got for who's hot, who's not?
Sure. Okay, so for my who's hot this week, I'm going with the winner. I'm going with Tyler Reddick, and here's why. Most people will say, "Oh, it's because he won," and yes, this is true. But one thing that I want to point out and mention is this is from the eye test, at least in the Cup Series. This is the first time that I've seen him up front and mistake-free throughout the entire race. I mean, when you think about it. Most of the time, he's having to claw his way back from something to get back in the top 10 or whatever. He stayed in the top 10 all race. I mean, the points might not dictate that because he didn't stay out for stage points, but he got the win, and it was over the most dominant car of the weekend, which was Chase Elliott, and he just outwheeled him there. He had so much more grip towards the end. He saved his tires. Just amazing win, dominant win. Not because he dominated the race, but simply because he outsmarted the road course king in Chase Elliott. So awesome for him. But most importantly, a mistake-free, good race where he finishes top of the charts. So as far as who's my not, I'm going to go with Kyle Busch. 3 sub top 20 finishes has hurt his ability to fight in the regular season championship. He was in second place with I believe only a handful of points back from the regular season championship lead after Gateway. And now he sits 6th, at least 73 points back from the regular championship lead. So what has gone on? I mean, I know we've had 2 road courses and Toyota has dominantly struggled at road courses. But seriously, just a fall from grace. 73 points is insane from just being a handful of points away from the regular season championship. But that's my who's hot, who's not for this week.
Okay, and I'm going to say that Tyler Reddick win was a pretty popular win. I think a lot of people were rooting for him, both in the stands and the garage. He doesn't make a lot of enemies. He doesn't draw a lot of controversy. I think that was a very popular win. I know I was glad to see it, but For my who's hot, who's not, I'm going to go back to something we touched on earlier. First time winners, 5 first time winners this season, the most since NASCAR's second season. And they got 5 winners, the 5 first time winners the second season because they just didn't have a big list of winners. They'd only been around one season. So I'm going to go with first time winners. We got 5 of them this year. Not hot. I'm going to say green flag passes. I think we only had 1 green flag pass during the entire race, or 1 green flag pass for the lead the entire race at Road America. And I know that road courses are hard to pass on, hard to work your way through the field, but I was a little disappointed. I believe we only had 1, and that was the Tyler Reddick pass over Chase Elliott in stage 3. But I wish we had a little more green flag passing for the lead in the road courses, actually overall, because that's been a recurring theme this year. But that is my who is not. And that takes us up to green flag, red flag. And we encourage the fans to chime in here with your thoughts on this. Before we get to green flag, red flag, I'm going to take us through this section, but that's normally Aaron's section to host, but he is obviously not here. But anything to add or comment on before we go through the green flag, red flag?
No, Mike, you got it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Green flag, red flag. Question number 1, and we have a visual aid for this one, if I can get this going here. Green flag, red flag, pick the best caption for this picture. And this was a result of the stage 3 debacle where everybody got collected at Road America in the Xfinity race. This is the Sage Karam Noah Gragson accident. And you are going to see Josh Bilicki driving down Road America. He collected the Sargento sign. So he literally had to drive almost all the way to pit road with that big Sargento sign in front of him. So caption this photo. Best caption. Green flag for debris caution, with the reference to brie cheese, or red flag for not a Gouda situation with the reference to Gouda cheese. Or if you're a fan, submit your own caption. But Zach, what do you got? Green flag or red flag? Best caption for this photo?
Yeah, I have to go with the green flag, debris. I laughed that when I saw that, I think I just encompassed it perfectly. But yeah, no, I got to go green flag. I love debris caution because it's just, I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to say I like debris caution a little bit better too. I'm going to go green flag on that one. But if you haven't seen that whole wreck and the debacle of it, watch the video. Just Google Xfinity Series crash at Road America. It was a spectacle. Thankfully, everybody walked away. We got a couple of good laughs out of it, including this one. But yeah, that is green flag, red flag number 1. So let's get that off the screen. Let's go to green flag, red flag number 2. Noah Gragson said that he was being run over when asked about his incident with Sage Karam. Give us your opinion. Was this green flag for effective payback, or is this a red flag for an immature temper tantrum? And if I can get to it here, I will show his video real quick. And actually, I'm not sure if I will be able to get to it or not.
Well, I can talk while you're doing that. So this is probably the thing that has been bugging me the most since I watched the race and the replay. I think I don't particularly mind Noah Gragson at all as a driver, as a person. I think he's a popular guy as well because he makes time, and people just kind of like his no BS attitude, which is fine. But when you're talking about this incident here that, we saw earlier in the race, that Sage Karam kind of bumped him into turn 1. If you use the 16 car of AJ Allmendinger as a reference point, it actually looks like, to me, that Noah Gragson actually kind of missed a little bit of the apex of the corner. The goal here for turn 1 is you want to stay as inside as possible and carry as much speed on the outside in order to set yourself up for the next corner. To me, it looked like Noah Gragson missed the apex a little bit if you're using the 16 as a judgment car for that. But Sage also didn't leave him very many room. Do I think that that was an incident worth him being run over? No, I don't. But when you look at the next corner, Noah does get run off the road. Does that happen in road course races all the time? Yes. Should it happen? Not necessarily. But should that have led to this big incident and Noah Gragson purposely wrecking him on a straightaway? No, at all, whatsoever. So to me, this has to be a very immature temper tantrum. And when you look at it, this isn't necessarily new for him. He has had several instances over the course of his Xfinity Series career where he's made absolutely dumb moves that people will say that might hold him back from Cup, but also just stupid moves in his career. And I think him being a somewhat veteran in the Xfinity Series, he should know better. And honestly, no type of contact deserves that kind of retaliation and immature behavior to the point where you ruin 20 other guys' day because of beef that you could have just sent him in the next corner and taken care of it that way. So absolutely awful in my opinion of Noah Gragson. And yeah, I just makes me think very, very much less of him after this incident as well.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. This is a red flag for me. This is a temper tantrum from a lot of different perspectives. One being, okay, look at when he did it. This is one lap after the restart to start stage 3. Okay. The field is not at all spread out. We are very much bunched up. If you got to settle a score with a guy, doing it when you got the whole field backed up behind you is not the right time or place to do it. Okay. So one, I think it was a very selfish move that makes it look like a temper tantrum when you choose that moment to do your payback. Okay. I know he just got bumped. He just got ran off the track and he probably had, I'm going to do it right now, but that was not a good move. Number two is Darrell Waltrip used to talk about Junior Johnson saying, don't race people who can't beat you. Okay. And what he meant by that was something like this. Let's look at this, okay? At this point in the season, Noah Gragson is running for a championship, okay? He's got 595 points accumulated so far. Sage Karam has 45 points. Sage Karam is not your competition right now, okay? Your competition is your Junior Motorsports teammates and Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger. You just took away points, ruined a potentially good day, put yourself in a bad position racing somebody who can't beat you. Okay. You just wrecked a guy who has 45 points on the season and you're trying to race for a championship. Not a good move. Not a move by a guy who's supposed to be running for a championship. I totally agree. This is a red flag all the way for me. Temper tantrum. And I think we have agreement. Mike Hora saying it was a toddler reaction and unfortunate because you like him. Lucas giving us the big red flag. Simoleon saying it was a temper tantrum. Yeah, I think we all agree that this was just an adult temper tantrum. So
if you look at Karam's and also his owner Tommy Joe Martin's reaction after the race, I think it showed a lot of class from them. They actually had, I think, both their cars involved in this. But one thing that stuck out that Karam said was, he's back there in 10th place and struggling, kind of falling back to a certain degree. So he's having a terrible race in his mind. Meanwhile, other cars are happy to even be in the top 10, like Tommy Joe Martin's car. He owns the team. So, whenever you have that dynamic and you're having a bad day in a really good race car, it also kind of adds up as well in your mind. So I think that's something that you have to consider as well. But yeah, I agree.
All right, let's keep going. Next green flag, red flag. Tyler Reddick became the 5th first-time winner this year, tying NASCAR's record for the most first-time winners in a season. Do we see a 6th first-time winner this year? If so, who is your pick? Green flag for yes, we see a 6th first-time winner. Red flag for no, we don't see another first-time winner. So, Zach, what you got? Are we going to have 6 first-time winners or not?
You mean in their career? So
six first-time winners this year.
Just for this season.
Just for this season.
Okay, so will we see another winner, a new winner this season? Is what you're asking? Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought you meant in their career. I would say yes. We're still looking at Erik Jones. He's in 18th in the championship right now.
Erik Jones has like 3 wins with Roush. Or not Roush, but Gibbs.
Oh, no. So you mean in their career. Yeah, you mean in their career. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. In the career. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't understand you didn't understand my question. I didn't understand. I'm sorry. We didn't get. Yes, first-time career winners. I'm sorry.
Winners. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
So I would say no, because the highest that we have, I believe, in the standings is Ty Dillon in 26th place and Petty GMS that has not won a cup race, if I'm remembering correctly. And then next you have Harrison Burton. But the top 25 have all won a race in their career. So I'm going to say no. There's only a handful of drivers, and ultimately half of those include some type of Rick Ware Racing driver. So I'm going to say red flag for sure.
I'm going to say red flag too. And I started looking this up because I wanted to make sure I got this right. But like you look at a Ricky Stenhouse, and he's got to win his career. And I think even a Chris Buescher, I believe, has got a win back in 2016, if I'm not
Justin
mistaken.
Haley has one.
Yeah, Justin Haley got a win in the back. I think then it was a July race at Daytona. But yeah, I'm looking at this. I don't think we see 6 first-time winners this year. I think we are stalled out at 5, which is still incredible. But I'm with you. I'm saying that this is red flag. We are not going to see a sixth first-time winner. Lucas proving he is ready for drug testing by predicting Cody Ware. Mike Horace saying maybe Gragson. I don't know. So I don't know about those two. But I think I might be interested in having whatever you two are smoking. All right. Last green flag, red flag question of the night. With 18 races to go in the season, no driver has more than 2 wins. Does any driver win more than 5? Green flag for yes, someone will win more than 5. Red flag, no one wins more than 5.
Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with red flag. I don't see anybody winning more than 5 races this season. Especially with 18 races to go. We've just seen so much parity. I think the playoffs are going to be no different, honestly. I think Joey Logano probably has the best chance, in my opinion. And I don't think we're counting exhibition races, are we?
No, we're not. Just
okay,
points-paying races.
Okay. Yeah, so I think Joey Logano has probably the best chance, maybe Chase Elliott, but I really don't even think they win more than 4, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm going to say red flag.
Man, Zach, we are agreeing tonight. I think 5 is it. I think somebody might get 5, but I don't see anybody getting 6. I think as we get into the playoffs and maybe you have teams where drivers from that team get eliminated, maybe you start seeing a little more emphasis put on the guys that are left, that maybe they get a little more engineering time, or they save their best chassis or something for the guys that are left in the playoffs. So maybe you see a little more consistency in the playoffs with who is winning. But I think it's going to be a stretch for somebody to win 5. I wouldn't be surprised if whoever is in the championship 4 wins the championship race, and that is their 5th win, that we don't see somebody get 5 until the absolute last race of the season. There's so much parity, which is making it great. So yeah, we agreed on every single one of the green flag, red flag questions. We have never done that, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Well, I mean, actually, I think we have agreed on one episode before, but
okay.
Yeah, this is
It feels odd. It doesn't happen that often. It's feeling odd.
One of the many few.
Yeah. All right, Stevie Throop tuning in saying the two goats. Thank you for tuning in, Stevie. Good to hear from you. Good to have you tuning in.
Good to see you, man.
So, okay, all right. For next week's preview at Atlanta, here is what I got for you guys. Okay, when we were at Atlanta the first time, Atlanta has become a fun-sized restrictor plate track. Okay, they can pretty much hold the throttle wide open all the way around it. It's all about playing the draft game. It races so much like Daytona and Talladega now that if you like that, you love Atlanta. If you don't like that racing, you hate it. But here's the deal. 5 of the top 6 in our first visit to Atlanta were Chevrolets. Okay. Hendrick placed 3 drivers in the top 10. So I am saying in our second trip to Atlanta, it is going to be a Chevrolet show, and that Chevrolet show is going to be led by Hendrick. And I am saying that it is going to actually be Kyle Larson going to victory lane at Atlanta this week. So not known as a great restrictor plate racer. He's had some bad luck this year. He's torn up a lot of race cars, had trouble bringing it home and completing all the laps, but I think he puts it together this week at Atlanta. And I am saying that we are going to go with Kyle Larson. If I'm going with a dark horse, Michael McDowell's not a bad pick as a dark horse, but the problem with McDowell is he keeps running like this. He's not going to be a dark horse anymore. But while we can still call him a dark horse, I'm going with Michael McDowell.
All right. Well, as far as mine goes, I want to pick a previous winner this season. It's very easy to. You got. What is it now?
You got a big field to choose from. Previous winners,
from something like that. But I'm going with Ryan Blaney. He had an asterisk mark, placed 17th after getting into, I believe it was Bubba Wallace. He got into Bubba Wallace there and ruined his day. But he won stage 2 after a rocky start in stage 1. He won stage 2 and led a couple laps. He had the highest average running position with 8.1 average. Running position. So I think he has a shot at winning and obviously picking up his first win of the season. So I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. As far as a dark horse, a bunch of our dark horses this season have also won. So it's very hard to pick a dark horse that hasn't already won. Oh gosh. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna go with maybe Justin Haley as a dark horse. He typically does well at restrictor plate tracks, stays clean. I mean, it's late in the year. They really have nothing to their strategy has always been stay back, lay back until the big one happens at some of these super speedways. Since Atlanta is kind of different, I'm going to kind of mark it like a Daytona Talladega race. I'm going to say they have nothing to lose now, so I think they could be a little bit more ballsy in their strategy. I think that they may be able to get a win this at Atlanta.
I think that's an interesting pick because you remember Kaulig Racing that's how they initially made their name. The first place where they showed a lot of speed was at the plate tracks in the Xfinity Series. And then they kind of built from there then they had the Dinger and they could run road courses well. And then they got to be where they're competitive everywhere. But it seems like plate tracks is the first place they have shown speed. So I think that's an interesting pick. I will also say Trackhouse had both guys in the top 5 last time. So that top 10 was 3 Hendrick cars, and in the top 6 there were 5 Chevrolets, and in the top 5 there were 2 Trackhouse racing. So Simolin's chiming in with his pick, Byron and McDowell. So he is saying Byron goes back to back at Atlanta because he won there earlier in the year. Man, back to back. That's back to back at a plate track for Byron. That would surprise me just because plate tracks are so hard to go back to back at.
Did you
I consider Atlanta to be like a plate track.
Who's your winner? Chase Elliott?
Me, I said Larson.
I
said Larson.
Okay. So you're not changing anything about your dark horse this week. We have We have 2 for Michael McDowell. We got a lot of chips on Michael McDowell this race to be the winner.
Yeah, we do. 2 of us picking McDowell. So, Mike Horace saying, can we talk about McDowell season for a second? Yeah. Hey, this next gen car is really putting it back in the hands of the drivers. So yeah, you don't have to have a mega engineering department to run now. You just have to have some talent behind the wheel. So I think that's great for McDowell, but it's great for the sport too.
I mean, if you look at it, you know, especially earlier in the season, they weren't necessarily running very well. I think he's got most of his top 10s here about midway of the season. But when you look at it, he has 3 more top 10s than Denny Hamlin this season. So that's something to definitely think about when you're looking at it, and 2 more than William Byron. So,
wow.
Yeah.
All right, we are up to parting comments, and my big parting comment is I don't know what's going on with the weather. I don't know if if this is some Darrell Waltrip theory of 4th of July fireworks have created some vortex or something, but Zach was without power a few minutes before the show. Aaron is not here because he is without power. My sister was without power over the weekend, all because of thunderstorms. I am figuring I am next on the list, and it's coming to me, that it's just a matter of time till I get hit. But to everyone out there, you know, especially if you're in an area of the country that's really hot, go buy a generator. Make sure you know where cooling stations are if you run out of power. Make sure you're stocked up on whatever necessities you need, especially things that are not perishable. If you get hit with a power outage for an extended period of time, make sure you are able to survive and stay safe and get what you need to. So my parting comment is to everyone, you know, everybody thinks of winter as a tough time of year to get through. Man, the heat can be really rough in the summer, especially if you are a little bit older or if you have any kind of health issues. So be prepared and stay safe out there, everybody. That is my parting comment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So my parting comment is twofold. So, one, Road America itself is hosting a poll as to whether or not they want to bring back, or whether or not to bring back Cup and Xfinity to Road America for 2023, as well as potentially the Truck Series race. So go vote if you can. I hope maybe we could post the link somewhere.
If you have the link, just post it in the comments if you can.
Let me see here. See what I can do here. I'm not signed in. But anyway, the next thing that I was going to mention was that apparently they're still looking at potential fines, if not both monetary and a potential, penalty, suspension potentially for Noah Gragson for intentionally wrecking. So that includes fines, points deduction, suspension, or nothing done. They're still looking at it. They said that they mentioned that on SiriusXM NASCAR radio. So that'll be interesting to see whether or not they're going to just let the boys race like they have allowed in recent years, or if they're actually going to take action on the intentional wrecking aspect of that. So I don't think we've seen something that bad since, I want to say, Kurt Busch potentially wrecking Ron Hornaday. I could be wrong. There might be something a little bit earlier. But can you think of anything, Tom, or no?
The one that always comes to mind, and I don't know how recent it was compared to this, is the Matt Kenseth Joey Logano thing at Martinsville.
That's true. Yeah, that's even sooner. So maybe not as intentional as either one of those, but definitely safety concern for sure. So we'll see what they have to do.
Well,
but that is,
when you make a right-hand turn on a straight stretch, it's pretty much it's hard to defend that it was an accident.
That this is true. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens with it. But something to note, of course, to see if anything does happen. But that is my white flag for this issue.
Okay.
Let me see if I can just post it in our private chat so that way you can post it, because I'm not logged in.
Okay.
So, oh, dang it.
I am.
Share link. Copy to clipboard. And there you go. I posted it in there. So hopefully you can get it in there.
All right. There we go. There is the Road America. Is this put on by who is putting this poll on? Is it
Road America? Yep.
Oh, okay. So the track is putting. So they're kind of lobbying for themselves.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Well, I thought it was a great race. I love Road America. I would certainly rather see it than Pocono or Texas or even a Chicago street race. So I'm hoping the fans' voices can be heard here, and I hope a lot of people agree with me that that we'd rather have Road America than some of those other places. So.
Absolutely. I agree. All right.
All right. With that, final thought is want to send out so our thoughts and prayers to Aaron tonight, not just for the loss of power, but lost one of his grandparents this week. And I think this is the second grandparent he's lost in just over a year. So keeping him in our thoughts and prayers. And I know it's a difficult time for you and your family, but you will get through it. And we are all here for you if you need us, Aaron. So that is my final parting comment.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
See you guys.